I met Brian Frenzy in a film class, and he started. There's a festival at USC every year where we all went to school called Ed Wood, where you basically have to make a film in 24 hours. Turns out to be this amazing breeding ground. Like, I still work mostly with people who I met through that festival, because you bond with people in a really fast way. And I think it was crucial actually for 5SF as like a personality type. The ability to turn around something really quickly was really important, because we have to make 5 of these a week.
I met Brian in screenwriting at USC, and he told me about 5-second films. And he said, "Oh, I just did this thing over the summer. I shot some 5-second films." And I thought, that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Why? What can you do in 5 seconds? That's ridiculous. I don't even have time for that. And then I saw some of them. I was like, I'm so sorry. These are genius. Can I come play? We've been making a new 5-second film every Monday through Friday for the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Do that math. I think it's like 1,300 films.
Yeah.
Never
about
missed
3
a day.
worth.
Yeah, definitely well over 3 hours. And we actually just launched a Kickstarter to try to raise money for our feature film. It's called Dubro Party Massacre 3, and it's a homage to the kind of campy 1980s slasher films. But in kind of this one, it's a comedy. It is a horror movie, but it's explicitly a comedy. But in this film, instead of the women being objectified, it's the men. I seriously went to studio people, we pitched them this movie, we gave them scripts, and we either did not get a response back at all, or the response back we got was, "What the fuck is this? I'm sorry, I don't know what to do with this." All the assistants of these people that said no, the assistants had to read the scripts first, because no one's going to actually read your script. They're going to give it to your assistant. And the assistant's like, "This is great, this is hilarious." And then they get it, and they're like, "What the fuck is this?" But they're all over the age of 40.
It's all people who are in like the 18 to 35 demo that 5SF already kind of appeals to, that seem to get the joke. It's because the same people who watch Tim and Eric, pretty much.
And
like people who get
horror,
like self-referential humor.
Yeah, and like you get that like the gem of bad cinema is actually really endearing and funny.
Right.
And also I should stress that there's an importance of being. You can do bad cinema, but you have to be sincere about it. You can't just be like, "Man, I'm doing bad eye angles."
You have to do it with love.
Patton Oswalt found us through Cracked, that website. Cracked.com started asking for compilations, and so we made some compilations, and Patton tweeted saying, "Oh my God, these 5-second films are so funny." Mm-hmm. We all freaked out. We tweeted him back saying, "Would you like to be in some?" And he said yes, and that was it. And he just, through Twitter, we bypassed all the agents and managers and assistants and just had a conversation with him, and he's like, I'm so busy, I only have an hour. We're like, that's all we need. So we shot 3 in under an hour, and he had a blast. And then that gave us street cred, and Patton invited Juliette Lewis, and then we got David Koechner, Eddie Pepitone, and all these awesome people.
Since doing 5SF, I've found that restrictions are really freeing. Like knowing that you have only 5 minutes to fill, and you can't go over that, or you have to work within these confines, are like is like the best thing ever, because it sets a boundary for how you're going to navigate this whole thing and how you should structure your story and everything. Yeah. I never think of 5-second films as 5-second films. I think of it as 120 frames, because that's how you kind of divide it up. Like that's how much room you have to tell your story, to like establish your characters and then divide them up.
Pie chart of stories.
Yeah.
That's true. By doing 5-second films, the best thing I could say is show, don't tell. And there's a lot of times where we have dialogue, and it's really rushed because we need it for the joke. But most of the time, they're very visual, and I think that's the most important thing is if you can just get it across without saying anything.
Right. It'll be like on I'd say a Tuesday night or a Sunday morning when we all meet up and get together. Someone will say, literally, it's always the same. It's just like, "Hey, I got an idea for a 5SF," and they'll stand up and they'll kind of act it out and be like, "What if this guy?" He wakes up and he sees his alarm and he goes, "Oh fuck!" And then we cut to like him making coffee, and then we cut to him walking to work, and like you just describe it, and that's basically how they're very.
If it's not funny,
they're not scripted usually.
Yeah, no. And if it's not funny, we'll just kind of like, man.
Yeah.
And we
you gauge the room whether or not that's going to get made.
If they really laugh, then you're like, okay, that really is funny.
You know, you've got a winner.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, in concept that's funny, but now it's all about the execution, the performance.
I think the fundamental thing that would be consistent across all the videos is surprise. I think not ever, whatever you're setting up is never what actually ends up happening. Like I think the bait and switch is something we wind up doing a lot. Like you imply that it's going in one direction, and then you just flip it completely on its head. It's hard. I mean, it was easier in the first few years, I think, when we were all really stoked about this new idea. But like now,
because it seemed like we could do anything, and then after like 4 years, we're like, I think we've done everything.
Yeah.
But we still surprise ourselves every week.
Well, you know, one thing we do, like Brian Ferenzi, who I would say is sort of the original creator of it, started doing is he always reinvents it. Like as soon as he's bored with something, he'll just change what he's doing. We did something called Bummer Week for a week when we were just kind of like, well, we're kind of tired of making the same thing. We're kind of tired of making funny films. What if we just made films that do not have a punchline? That are just like, they just kind of bum you out. But the only point I'm trying to make is like if you're getting bored with what you're doing, you can always just, you know, kind of reinvent what you're doing. You have to keep it fresh for yourself or else you're just not going to be that inspired.